If you liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Adeptus Custodes, What's Winning Right Now, Episode 10. Today we have a very interesting GT winning Adeptus Custodes list. This list was played by Lee Zagrzebski. Sorry if I butchered your last name, Lee. I guarantee we have not seen a GT winning list like this before. Lee was playing a Lines of the Emperor list. No Wardens, no Grav-tanks. This is a wild list. We will take a look at the list and the path to victory. I will give a breakdown of what the Lines of the Emperor can do to buff the units in this list. Finally, a general game plan for the list. Let's move on to Lee's really interesting GT winning list. Lee was running Adeptus Custodes as the Lines of the Emperor detachment. His list came to 2,000 points. I'm not sure which character was his warlord. I just put it as the Allarus shield captain with the Admonti Mortis enhancement with the Castellan axe. For the other characters, we did have another Allarus shield captain with the superior creation enhancement and a guardian spear. A shield captain on Dawn Eagle jetbike with the fierce conqueror enhancement and a salvo launcher. Then another shield captain on Dawn Eagle jetbike, no enhancement and a salvo launcher. No battle line in this list. For the other data sheets, we do have 2 units of 3 Allarus Terminators with the Guardian Spears to join up with those Allarus Shield Captains, 2 units of 3 Vertus Preators with the Salvo Launchers, those will join up with the Shield Captains as well. 2 units of 4 Witchseekers. For the allied units, we do have a Callidus Assassin and Canis Rex. As you can see here, there's no Wardens and no Grav-tanks and a big Canis Rex. So this list is really interesting. It's something we haven't seen before. Now let's take a look at Lee's path to victory and the factions he had to face to win the tournament. Lee won the tournament at the Grand Onslaught 10. Game 1 was against the Eldari, and this was an 86-54 win. And Game 2 was against the Eldari as well, a 74-40 win. With all the +1 to the wound shooting in this list was probably able to gun down a lot of these Eldari. Unlike some of our other Custodes detachments, we have ways to take out enemy units with our range shooting and our melee combat. Game 3 was a very close game against the Death Guard. This was an 88-87 win. Game 4 was against the Space Wolves, and this was a very decisive 78-36 win. The Adeptus Custodes are really good at killing melee armies with 4 wounds and 3 up saves. There are some invulnerable saves in there. Against the Space Wolves, we have a pretty good time against that melee first army. His final game, Game 5, was against the Death Guard, and this was a close game as well. This was an 84-74 win, and his list was made for damage, so I'm guessing he was able to kill out some of these Death Guard and grab some objectives, grab some secondaries, and get the win. Lee wins the Grand Onslaught 10 Carnage GT. There was another 5-0 army, a Death Guard army. Lee had the higher opponent win percentage, and that got him first place in the tournament. Congratulations, Lee, on the GT win. We will start the unit breakdown with the Allarus Shield Captains and their 3 Allarus. We usually see this in units of 1 with 2 Allarus. Lee's list has 2 Allarus Shield Captains with 3 Allarus each. Both Shield Captains have an enhancement. Admonti Mortis on a Shield Captain with the Castellan axe is a staple of many lists. An Allarus Shield Captain with 6 attacks, Strength 12, AP 2, Damage 4, with reroll wounds into character, monster, and vehicle units from the attached Allarus. The Allarus Shield Captain becomes an S tier threat to the opponent. It also helps the enhancement is only 10 points. On the board or in reserves, waiting to rapid ingress in, the opponent has to respect this unit. We can also use the Allarus Shield Captain's ability to reduce all incoming damage for 1 phase. With Gilded Champion for 1 CP, we can use Oromite and Adamantine twice per game. When the detachment rule for +1 to hit and +1 to wound is paired with all the stacking buffs and abilities, the Allarus Shield Captain becomes a walking tank that smashes things out of existence in combat. Defiant to the last for 1 CP, for a 2+ fight on death, and a 4+ for the Allarus models. Charging into these Allarus units, especially the one with Admonti Mortis, will be awful, and I love it. Each of these units will have 8 shots, Strength 4, AP 1, Damage 2. They also have the 4d6 plus blast shots at Strength 4, AP 1, Damage 1 from the Ballistic Grenade Launchers. Light to medium infantry or chaff units should be very wary of these 2 units. +1 to hit and wound is great on these. It makes a big difference in their shooting. Custodes have not really had a problem in the fight phase. +1 to the wound roll lets us be even more deadly in the shooting phase. Including the Vertus Preator units, the chaff clearing potential of this list will surprise enemies trying to clog up the board with bodies or move block our units. Unleash the Lions for 1 CP could be used in the later turns to break each one of these units into 4 one-model units. That would be a total of 6 Allarus single model units, as well as the 2 shield captains on their own as well. Even better if Golden Light has not been used, giving this list 6 units to bounce around the board and score late game points. Once we've used Unleash the Lions to break this unit apart, the Allarus shield captain will no longer have access to Golden Light. Once the big threat of the opponent's army has been dealt with, or if the game is not going our way, we may want to break these units up with Unleash the Lions to score some more points. The Allarus shield captain with the Guardian Spear has the superior creation enhancement, allowing him to stand back up after death on a roll of 2+ with full wounds remaining. If the Allarus unit the shield captain was attached to is still on the battlefield, the Allarus shield captain must be returned to that Allarus unit. This enhancement helps from being sniped out of the Allarus unit. A unit Lee can afford to put in a dangerous area to get some major points to swing the game. It's hard to shoot him off an objective at range to try to keep the primary score down. Next up is the 2 units of Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle with the 3 Vertus Preators. This is the first list I've seen with not only 1 but 2 units of 1 Shield Captain and 3 Vertus Preators. Every bike in Lee's list has a salvo launcher for some anti-tank damage. 1 shot each, hit on a 2+, strength 10, AP 3, damage D6 +1 with twin linked. The detachment rule adding +1 to the hit and wound buffs up the salvo launchers into toughness 10 and above targets. Not to mention the melee threat they have, including the captain, the unit has 21 attacks, hitting on a 2+, strength 7, AP 2, damage 2 with the Lance ability, and the Lance ability will give that unit +1 to the wound roll in melee when they have charged that turn. The lines of the Emperor detachment rule against all odds may not help when the unit charges, but when it gets charged or it's ongoing combat while being outside of 6 inches of a friendly unit, and that will include Canis Rex since Canis Rex is a friendly unit, the Vertus Preators will have +1 to the wound roll. Both units have a shield captain on Dawn Eagle jet bike. I played a Lions list with 1 and it's amazing. Having 2 in the list, the first wave of the opponent's army will be hard pressed to move block this army for long. The shield captain's sweeping advance is amazing for moving out, shooting, charging, then at the end of the fight phase, moving back behind some cover, moving on to an objective, or even into the enemy deployment. Reset Sweeping Advance once per game with the Gilded Champion. Sweeping Advance is used at the end of the fight phase. This means we can even use this at the end of the enemy fight phase. The Vertus Preator's Quicksilver Execution can be used after a normal or advanced move. If we use Sweeping Advance to normal move over a unit or model from a unit, we can drop some mortal wound bombs. The Shield Captain adds to the unit, giving us a potential 8 mortal wounds. We do have 4 shield captains in the list to reduce the cost of stratagems such as Swift as the Eagle to do a D6 move after being shot, perhaps even using Gilded Champion for 0 CP. We can only use the reduce a stratagem by 1 ability, Strategic Mastery, once per battle round no matter how many shield captains we do have in the list. 1 or 4, we can only use this ability once per battle round. The good news is, with so many shield captains in Lee's list, he should be able to use this once per battle round ability all game. One of the shield captains on Dawn Eagle jet bike has the Fierce Conqueror enhancement. I have tried this enhancement out for myself. It is quite a bit better than it seems at first. 2 extra attacks per 5 enemy models within 6 inches of the bearer. The important thing to note is that it is not within engagement range, it is just a 6-inch bubble of more death. The shield captain has 6 attacks. Charge this unit into a densely packed area of the board, have 15 enemy models inside that 6-inch bubble. Now that shield captain has double the amount of attacks with 12. Then be a real pain using Sweeping Advance to move the unit somewhere safe, staging for the next turn. Then we do it again in our next turn since we use Gilded Champion to reset Sweeping Advance. Next up and last is the Witchseekers. It feels weird saying last since we've only gone through 2 units, but this is a very different list than our normal GT list. For the Witchseekers, we do have 2 units of 4, our best cheap unit to gain some early board control. I did not watch any of Lee's games, I'm not sure what he did with these 2 units. One would scout towards the center of the board, the other could scout 6 inches towards another objective or hold his home objective. I find they are great for scouting 6 inches towards the center for turn 1. +1 to the wounds roll from the detachment rule can make these a bit more threatening into infantry units. I know I did not invent the idea of taking Witchseekers, but I have been pushing them as a near auto-include for Custodes list for all of 10th edition. 2 units in this list makes me proud. They can cause a battle shock roll for a unit hit by the torrent weapons, not something we can rely on, but it does come up time to time. I have used Witchseekers to battle shock a unit I was going to charge that could have used a fight on death stratagem. The battle shock stopped my opponent from using fight on death, saving my Allarus unit from losing any models. Don't forget these Witchseekers can battle shock enemy units. Next up is our 2 allied units. Our first unit is the Callidus Assassin, the best lone op we have access to for scoring points. Great for draining CP and ruining opponents' plans with her 12-inch aura of add 1 to the CP cost of enemy stratagems. Her ability that allows her to put herself into reserves at the end of the enemy turn, along with the deep strike ability, is what makes her so great for secondary scoring. The Callidus Assassin is a unit that will have a target on its back all game though. The last unit in Lee's list is the big man himself, Canis Rex. Canis Rex adds multiple things to an Adeptus Custodes list. Canis needs dedicated fire or melee to take him out. Ignoring him can be a bad option for the opponent. Having him engaged in the battle takes the heat off our Custodes infantry. Anti-tank weapons and other games that would one-shot their Custodes models will be put into Canis Rex. Toughness 11 with 26 wounds, damage 1 AP 1 weapons will have a hard time taking out Canis Rex. Then we have his damage potential. His range weapons do not have the highest range or damage, but the amount of shots can spike. Blast with sustain hits 1 can have these shoot a lot more attacks than it first seems. Then we include the Chainbreaker ability to have critical hits on 5+, sustain hits 1 on a 5+ can really spike. The melee weapon, Freedom's Hand, is scary. Strength 20, damage 9 strike profile with a strength 10, damage 3 sweep profile. Either melee profile will have sustain hits 1 on a 5+ as well. Canis is great for those enemy units with -1 damage. Damage 9 cares not for -1 damage. The downside of a Knight ally is we can only use the core stratagems such as CP reroll, rapid ingress, tank shock, or counteroffensive. The Knight's index currently has a 4+ invulnerable save. Canis cannot use Knight or Custodes stratagems. He will have a 5+ invulnerable save to ranged attacks, but against melee attacks he will have his base 3+ save. This is where the legendary Free Blade ability comes into play. One of the better uses of this ability is CP reroll for 0 CP, or even tank shock for 0 CP. It is an every turn reduction instead of the normal once per battle round. I like to use it to reroll the amount of shots or a failed save. Once again, if you do make a successful charge roll, you can also use tank shock for 0 CP to get some extra mortal wounds off. That's the unit breakdown of Lee's GT winning list. And like I said, this list was really interesting. It was something I haven't seen in any other lines of the Emperor GT winning list. Let's move on to a general game plan and some final thoughts. Now for a general game plan and some final thoughts. This is an interesting list to give a quick general game plan on. You could start everything on the board or have the Ad Monty Mortis Shield Captain with the Allarus unit in strategic reserves ready to rapid ingress onto the board. The 2 jet bike units can clear chaff and objectives while giving Canis Rex some anti-tank shooting backup. One of the Witchseeker units will scout towards the middle of the board, one may stay to babysit the home objective. Canis Rex will either help screen out the back lines while shooting down the board, or smash his way to the middle of the board, daring anything to charge within range of the mighty knight. The shooting and overall damage of this list should be quite high. Lee has no Wardens. Who needs to hold objectives with tough Warden units when you can just kill everything instead? I would be very interested in learning how Lee played his list throughout the tournament. I did not write or win the GT with this list. This is a simple general game plan for Lee's list. We will finish the video with some final thoughts. I told you all this would be a much different list than anything we've seen before in this series, for the lines of the Emperor detachment at least. Stephen Box from Vanguard Tactics was the first to use a much different style of list than the normal infantry and tanks build, and be successful with it. An all bikes and Venatari with no Wardens or Grav-tanks list. What did you think of Lee's Lines of the Emperor GT winning list? Congratulations Lee on the GT win, you make your fellow 10,000 proud. Subscribe for weekly battle reports, list videos, and other Warhammer 40K content. Channel members gain early access to videos and an invite to the channel Discord. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by.